Hello everybody, welcome back. Thank you for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Renata. In today's video, I was going to do a quick transfer of a Monstera mint deliciosa out of tissue culture into my pond so that I can start acclimating it. And then I have another plant that needs repotting, so I thought we would do two quick repots. So I'm just gonna start in with the Monstera mint, and I will talk to you while I'm working on it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is wipe my work surface down and everything else that I'll be using down with rubbing alcohol. And the reason for doing this is because tissue culture is a mostly sterile environment. It should be as sterile as possible. And so I want to make sure that I don't introduce more bacteria or viruses. I know a lot of people use hydrogen peroxide for this purpose, but having been a minor in biology when I was in college, we always used rubbing alcohol to sterilize the lab space. 70% ethanol, 70% rubbing alcohol. So I'm just wiping out the container I'm going to use now. This is what I'm going to put the plant into, and I washed it. I'm reusing it. I washed it out already, but I have it has been sitting in my house, and I don't know what dust and dirt and other contaminants might have fallen in, so I just wanted to give it a little wipe. I'm wiping my scissors because the plant itself came in a little baggie right here that I'm going to need to cut open. I'm gonna wipe my hands. I already washed my hands. I'm just gonna give them a little bit of a wipe, just like I were using hand sanitizer on them. I don't generally recommend rubbing alcohol on your hands. It's very drying, but if I want to have something close to a sterile environment, I think it's worthwhile to do it. Okay, so everything has been wiped down. I think the first thing I'm going to do is open the package up, and then I'm going to have to go and see so I'm going to open this little baggie up. Come on. There we go. I might need to cut lower down too. Yeah. But I was trying to keep the tag that came with it so that I have that. So I open the little baggie. And I just realized I forgot something. I'm going to get another little container into which I can put some distilled water so I can rinse the agar or the tissue culture medium off the roots of the plant so that it doesn't get transferred into here when I put it in the pond. So I will be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm just going to wipe my hands down with the rubbing alcohol, having touched a bunch of other things. And I'm gonna wipe down the container I'm gonna put some distilled water into. Actually, it's purified water, but when I looked at the label, it's purified by either reverse osmosis or distillation, which means that it's either reverse osmosis water or distilled water. In either case, it will be perfectly fine. It will be better to use it than tap water, which the plant has not been acclimated to yet. So, and all of these things I'm doing, I just saw online in tutorials. I also found a small makeup brush to use to help wipe off extra gel from the growing medium. And because I don't know, I've had these makeup brushes for like 30 years. And I've never used this one, I don't think, but I don't know what all is in it, so I'm just giving it a quick run through in the rubbing alcohol also. All right. This time I think I'm ready. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up the little dish of distilled water. The next thing I want to do is to take out my little plant. Let's see if I can do this. All right, so there it is. Let me show you what it looks like. So there, my finger's in the way. And then there's the other leaf. And then the third leaf is kind of meh, so I might take it off. Anyway. So into the water I'm gonna put it, and I'm gonna just let it sit there for a little while. Actually, while it's in here, I'm going to look at what exactly is going on with this plant. So, one exciting thing I see, it has a new growth point. I mean, it's gonna put out a new leaf. Come on. I can't show you that. You'll just have to trust me that there's a new leaf coming in. So I'm gonna swirl it around a little bit in the water here and just try to get as much of that stuff off as possible. I'm a little bit sad. In the bag, there's a nice long root, like 2-3 inches long. And I don't know if that root was a second root or what I have on here is one single root. And I don't know if that had been a second root or no. I think it might have been, but I don't see where it would have grown from. Maybe it snapped off this root here. I just really can't tell. In any case, enough with me handling the plant. Let me get on to trying to clear excess agar off the plant. I keep calling it agar because I heard it called agar in one of the videos I watched, but a lot of the videos I saw, people refer to it as growth medium. And agar is often used along with growth medium with sugar solutions to grow cells. All right, I'm gonna just let it soak because I am getting quite nervous about what I'm doing and I'm getting very jittery. So I'm gonna just leave it to soak for a little while. And while I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and start getting my container with pond set up. So I'm feeling so nervous because I don't want to hurt this plant at all, and it's making me so jittery. I am a little bit scared about even just trying to dig out some pond at this point, but let me go ahead and do it. So I have my container here. I just use a plastic storage bin to hold my pond that I've made up. And actually there's a little bit of leca in it too. So it doesn't matter. They're all good for hydroponic, semi-hydroponic growing. So I'm gonna give this a little bit of a mix. I know the pond isn't sterile, but if everything else in this process is sterile and I use the distilled water, I think it'll be okay to have the pond not be sterile. The plant does have to start to acclimate to a non-sterile environment. Oops, there's one of my hairs. That is a danger. So I have my container with the pond in it. So I don't know if you can see, it's a fairly chunky, they're fairly large size pieces of material. So it's a mix of lava and pumice and zeolite, and that's all. There are other people who put other light products in. I just find that this has been working fine for me, and I think they're kind of the most important. If you're going to make pond up, they're kind of the most important pieces to the pond. All right, so my pond is set, my container with pond is set. I'm gonna put it aside. Apologies for the loud thump. I'm gonna try to go back to wiping at this. And I'm sorry I can't bring you down here to see what I'm doing exactly, but just imagine I'm sort of painting along the root. Very gently painting along the root, trying to make sure that there's no growth medium anywhere on it, because while it was in the agar, the sugar was giving it nutrients, but if we transfer it to semi-hydro with sugar in it, it can start to cause trouble. I don't know what I'm breaking off there. All right. And then I'm going to gently pull off the very brown parts there, because those also could start rotting on me. And I'm not interested in having this plant rot. There, that allows me to better get at the plant. I'm also wiping at one of the leaves, at two of the leaves. Not because I'm going to stick them underneath the semi-hydro, but because they had been in the agar jelly, and I don't, like I said, I don't want it falling off of the leaves into the semi-hydro either. So I'm just literally just painting at them like this, trying to make sure there's nothing on there. All right, so while this is soaking a little bit more, I'm pretty sure it's clean. I'm gonna leave it to soak while I do this. So I have my semi-hydro here. I'm gonna try to make a little indent. You know what? I'm gonna do this slightly differently. I was going to try to make a little indentation, but what I'm going to do is pour out just a little bit of the pond from the top. Maybe a tiny bit more. There we go. So I poured out the pond, and the reason for doing that is that it makes it easier to get the root underneath the pond. And this plant, the root is so tiny that it doesn't need much to cover it. So I'm gonna give it a good quick look over. I'm just looking at it, trying to make sure that I don't see any jelly on it. Any gel, not jelly, huh. I'm gonna guess that it's okay. I'm gonna hope that it's okay. This is all an experiment, and if it fails, I'll be very, very, very sad, but worse things have happened in this world. So, all right. You stay down there. So I just refilled the pond that I had poured out back in underneath so I could cover the root. And I'm having a little bit of a struggle getting the leaves to not be under the pond. But there we go. Okay. It's not very straight, but it'll have to do. So let me show you what this little guy looks like now. So you can see I've got 3 leaves. Three leaves on this little guy. He doesn't really want to stay down in place. It doesn't help that I'm tilting him to show you. And what I was talking about earlier, the new leaf coming in, is right here. So, if I pull this to the side gently, can you see that new leaf coming in? There it is. Oops. Trouble is my fingers are getting in the way. There we go. So there you can see there's the new leaf that's going to come in. So I'm really hopeful that this will work. There are a couple other things I'm going to do before I stick this in my cabinet. The first is I'm going to give it just a little bit of distilled water in the bottom of the pond. To help moisten the pond. A little bit more. Oop. That's more than I would have normally put in, but the root is so little it's not going to be a problem. And The last thing I need to do is cover it. I'm going to take a plastic baggie, put it over the top, put a rubber band around it, and that's going to create a humidity dome. I know there are lots of people that just take Ziploc bags and can zip them that way. Actually, maybe I'll do that because this is so small. I can just do the Ziploc baggie that way, and that when it is time eventually in a week or two to start letting it acclimate to the air in my cabinet, if I have the plastic baggie, I can just unzip it a little bit and then zip it back up. It's a little easier than the plastic bag with the rubber band. But if you don't have Ziploc baggies, you can always just take any old plastic bag and put it over the top and put a rubber band around to create a humidity dome. That's a hack I learned from my parents. Let me pause this for a minute, go get my other plant that I want to repot, and continue with the repotting fun. All right, I'm back, and I decided that while I was here and before I let it sit out for too long, I would just go ahead and put this one into a Ziploc baggie. So there we go, into the bag, seal it. Make sure she's well sealed. One Monstera mint tissue culture plant in humidity dome, ready for acclimation to my house. Well, my cabinet first and then my house. Actually, maybe I'll just do it in my house. So I'm gonna put her under a grow light somewhere. I'm gonna put it under a grow light somewhere. I'm not sure where, but that is not important as much as this part of the process was important. So this plant, I'm done with it. I'm gonna put it aside. The next plant I'm gonna work on is the crocodile fern that I had bought and showed in my first video. And it has just continued to give me yellowing leaves. So I think I've had it about a week and a half, 2 weeks. I'm gonna go ahead and try to repot it and see if I can figure out why it's giving me yellowing leaves. So for this one, because it's giving me the yellowing leaves and I don't know what's going on with it, I'm going to actually stick the old soil into a compost bowl. So if you happen to see fruit flies buzzing around, that's why. So this is the messy part of this plan. Oh, that came out pretty easily. So, and I have no idea what fern roots look like, if they're fine, if they're not fine. I suspect that there's probably a plug in here. I hope not, but I suspect that there is. It looks like the roots are fairly fine on this. You can see. And anytime I have plants with fine roots, I tend to butcher them because I am not the most patient when it comes to taking soil off of plants. We have some nice music in the background. I have the windows open so you can hear the cars going by. So when the neighbors or whoever drives by with their music loud, you get to hear their music too. Another fun fact about where I'm living, I haven't heard any during this video, but I'm in a part of the country, part of northern Indiana, where there are a lot of Amish, and the Amish come through my town. Technically it's a city, but I'm from Philadelphia, so to me this is not a city, this is a town. But I'm living in Indiana, I have to readjust my expectations of what a city and a town are. But there are Amish here, and so sometimes they come through on their horse and buggies, and I've lived here for 5 years, and I still am charmed every time I hear the clip-clopping of the horse pulling the buggy. Okay, so we definitely don't have a plug, which is really nice. I've sort of done the best I can right now at getting the dirt off. I'm gonna go take this to the sink and rinse the rest of the dirt off. And then we'll come back. And I didn't mention, but I'm also gonna transfer this into semi-hydro. I'm gonna put it in a self-watering pot, and I'm gonna put it into semi-hydro. And it will be an experiment to find out if ferns like being in semi-hydro, or if ferns like to be in, if ferns can take the transfer into semi-hydro or not, and if they like it, or if life is better without. But let me go rinse these roots off real quick, and then I will get back to you. So I started rinsing the roots, and then I decided that was taking far too long because there's still a lot of dirt on here. So I thought I would go get a bowl of water and just work at the roots this way. You know what? We're gonna have a little revision of our plan. I'm still going to put it into a self-watering pot, but instead of using semi-hydro, I'm going to use soil, so I don't have to continue trying to get all the soil off and destroying the roots, etc., etc., etc. So once again, I will be right back. Okay, I'm back again. I hope that's the last time I have to go and get some other supply. So I decided I'm going to put the plant into soil instead of pond, because it's just, I don't want to really damage all the roots on that plant to get it out of soil. So we're going to just go ahead. I normally wouldn't do this, but I'm going to just go ahead and start putting, actually, the first thing I need to do is put the little cord through the drainage holes to help wick water up into the soil. And this is actually cord that I recovered from other plants that had been in self-watering pots that I bought from a big box store. So I had washed it also just with dish soap and water, so I'm just repurposing the cord. There was nothing wrong with those plants, I just put them into semi-hydro and probably no drainage situations. Okay, so I have the cord in the bottom of the pot. You can sort of see it there. I just laid it across most of the width of the bottom. I have my soil here. It is no specific soil. It is in fact repurposed soil. I know a lot of people say not to reuse soil, but most of this soil is not spent. It's soil that came out of plants I recently purchased and then put into semi-hydro. Those plants all came from not from a big box shop, but they came from a nursery that I'm pretty sure uses good soil mixtures. So I feel okay about that, about reusing it. Like I said, if I have really spent soil, or if I have soil where there's been some problem with the plant, I will go ahead and just put it into my compost bowl, and I won't reuse it. I will put it in my compost pile. I don't use the compost for gardening or anything like that, because it's really just kind of a pile of biodegradable refuse at the back of my yard. I don't have a proper composter. I don't have any system set up for composting. I just don't like throwing biodegradable waste into the trash when I can put it in the compost. So that's why I do that. So these roots are so super wet and saturated that I'm not even going to worry too much about moistening the soil, because I will water everything in eventually afterwards, but such a what I can tell you about the soil I'm using is that it definitely has pieces of some kind of wood chip or bark in it. It has some fertilizer in it. My bird, that makes me a little bit nervous. My bird's nest fern has not liked getting fertilized very much, so I'm a little nervous about fertilizing this one, but it's just a little bit, and it's not brand new fresh fertilizer. Like I said, this is soil that was in other plants, so hopefully some of the fertilizing power from the fertilizer has been released. When I repot, my mom taught me always to moisten the soil before I repot. So that's what I normally do. However, I have seen so many people on YouTube who just put the soil in dry and then just tamp it down. So I'm trying that today. Both the purpose of moistening the soil ahead of time is the same as tamping it down. It helps get rid of extra air pockets that so I don't know, different tricks to get to the same end result. But yeah, I usually pre-moisten my soil. That's just the way I was taught to do it. Obviously, if lots of people on the internet, on YouTube, are doing it without pre-moistening, that works well too. So I can learn a new trick. All right. I think I'm gonna just try to get that last little bit. It's just a tiny little bit of soil in this container. So I'm gonna try to get it in here. All right. So there we go. I'm gonna just finish spreading those last piles of soil out that I dumped in here. Tamp it down, press it down, whatever you want to call it. Snip off some yellowing leaves, because while I'm here with the scissors, why not? This one just came off on its own. I hope that I hope that this plant will recover. But so many of the yellow leaves, when I give them a, like, just sort of touch them, they come out. But hopefully it will recover. So there we go. She is repotted. So the way the self-watering works is you have the two little, or one little string that hangs down. In this case, the way the pot is set up, you need to have strings going down into the water. And then on the side of the pot right here, we have the viewing window so you can see the water level. You can't fill above the height of this because there's a drain hole in the middle, so water will, it holds the pot higher up in the container, and it leaves a reservoir of water underneath. And if you fill it up too much, water will come pouring out this indentation here in the top. So I learned that the hard way by overfilling one of these and wondering where all the water was coming from. So there we are, 2 plants repotted today. One that's going to be acclimating. I will probably not talk much about that plant until it's done acclimating. The other, we're going to hope that it wasn't too badly disturbed by my feeling around in its roots and trying to get all the dirt off. And I will probably keep you posted about this plant because I really do love it and I really do want it to survive. So yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me today while I repotted these 2 plants and yammered at you about plants and not plants. I really appreciate you being here, so thank you. As I said, thank you very much for joining me. I'm gonna go clean my mess up after I say goodbye to you. But before I say goodbye, if you like this video, if you want to see more content about my plants and my houseplant collection, please hit the like button, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great afternoon. Bye.